Hello. Hello, everybody. Uh, Sorry for being late today. I don't even know if this podcast is meant to actually freaking go up because it's been nothing but a nightmare for something that's usually just like a 5 minute setup. Can't For some reason my camera wouldn't work, and then the computer wouldn't. For some reason, it wouldn't let wouldn't see the camera, and then it wouldn't pick up any audio. So, but it's going now. So, um, yeah, the original 15-minute delay was just life, but shit happens, you know. So, give me a couple minutes, and I'll go ahead and pin that link. Let's see. And then let's see, what are we going to do? We're going to go over here. So yeah, I'll get the link up. We can go ahead and we'll get started with everything. Hey Shane, what's going on? Whiskey Samurai, what's going on? Thanks for jumping in. Be a little patient with me. Like I said, my damn camera wouldn't freaking come on for some reason. I finally got it all worked out. Hopefully. Let's see. And then let's see. We need to go to the chat. We need to paste that. All right. So how's everybody doing? I hope you guys are having a decent Saturday, or actually a way better Saturday than I am. Swami, what's up? Great. Shane Long and Swami in the same chat. Gee, this is going to be a whole bunch of fun, isn't it? Let's see. So then let me go ahead and pin that message, and that should be able. Anybody should be able to come on if they want. I'm expecting Tito Dirk to come on. He just put out a new video today. He'll come in when he gets a chance. So I have to watch out for a few things. I need to watch about saying frickin', the word frickin' or fucking or whatever, mixing them up too much, because Swami really loves it when I do that, and thinks it's funny that I need to basically pick a lane, whether I'm going to say which F word I'm going to use and just stick with it. But let's see. So this week's been, not as eventful as last week, and been on a few lives with Swami, Ken from Scotch Down Under, and Simon, and a whole bunch of people. Shane Long in the chat giving me rations of shit. Nothing different from pretty much any other time I'm on. Jerry Black, how you doing? T Squared, good to see somebody new, or somebody I hadn't noticed in the chat yet. So how's like I said, what's everybody drinking? Me presently, I had I don't think I had as long a night as Swami did yesterday. I mean, I was on until we were on I was on with Swami on his live last night, and then he went to bed. The rest of us stayed up all the way until 4:30. Most of the rest of us stayed awake. It was Jason Coates, me, Simon, and Ken. Pretty much stayed up. And then Ken left to get ready for his live, and then we all went over to his live at 4:30 in the morning. And then finally, about 8:30 Pacific, I went to bed. But let's see. We got Mike Meyer. Hey, good to see you. The 1920, Jerry Black and Glenn Fiddick, 14. Let's see. I'm trying to figure out what I want to pour first. I don't think I want to kill a bottle yet. Let's see. I'll start out a little easy. I'll just go with the Evan Williams Bottled in Bond. Been having I gotta get work on these cameras, man. So yeah, it was a good night last night. I'm glad to see people here. 8 people already. That's pretty good, especially since I didn't really give a whole lot of heads up. I mean, today I forgot about the thumbnail and stuff, and finally threw that together at the last minute after getting just life freaking catching up. Space Side, let's see, Space PX cast strength Germany edition in a glass. Okay. Then, hey, Sugar Kitty. Yeah, I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry about that. Like I said, I forgot about the thumbnail and posting the early. I don't know why I forgot about it. I'm usually pretty decent about doing that. But I did. But good that people see it. It's good that people get notified, and that's why I wasn't expecting to get a whole lot of people. Got 13 already in the first few minutes. So yeah, so Richie Z, what's up? And then let's see. Oh, Daniel Kerber's in here. Let's hold on a second. Let me get over here. Kerber. All right, so let's see. Kerber. I'm not drinking yet. I'm out in the shop working with. Hey, you know what, Shane? That's a good thing. Do not drink. We don't need you to freaking mess up your freaking hand, another finger. Hey, Cheech, what's going on? It's good to see Cheech in the chat real early. You got an actual weekend off from gigging. Good to see you, buddy. So basically, this one's supposed to be for talking about 1970s rock and metal. This freaking autofocus is killing me. So yeah, I watched a documentary earlier in the week. It actually was really cool, called a band called Death. It's about, hey, Bourbon Beginnings, what's going on there, Ruben? Yeah, okay. That's fine. Whenever that bottle's yours. So whenever we get a chance to meet up, Ruben, we'll meet up and we'll get that exchanged. Yeah. So yeah, Kerber, yeah, you're a wrench now. And hey, guess what? DC hasn't been in here yet. I don't think so. I don't think he might. Yeah. Well, I'm sorry. He's already a wrench too. So damn it. Keep that war going. Let's see. Oh yeah. Hey, Adriana. Good to see you. You're like I already said, sent you, I did a little text stuff or a little message to you about the last video. The snow video is freaking great. And then anybody that doesn't know, see Tito Dirk, Libation Exploration. His second video came out today, and it's pretty. It's good. It's good stuff. It's got the more he gets around. Oh, whiskey encore. I'm sorry. That's so what's going on there, buddy? But yeah. So he put out a new video today. It's really good. Found a bunch of other channels. Some channels I was subscribed to for a little while, but I hadn't gotten back to watching a bunch of them. And then I ended up being on a live with them last night and realizing that, oh, wait a second. I'm actually subscribed to them, like Whiskey Throttle from Canada and a couple others. And then it was really fun last night. I met a lot of new people through Swami and his live. A couple more people through Ken's live. So yeah, that was really cool. So just got in from filming live. Okay, cool. So yeah, new person in the channel, Whiskey Encore. I hope he hangs around for a while. So yeah, so we're supposed to be talking. The main thing is to talk about the 70s. We don't have to talk about 70s rock if somebody doesn't want to. Somebody wants to come on or whatever. The link is pinned at the top. But that's the 70s is really weird. Is like one of the stranger decades of music. Coming out of the Flower Power 60s, those bands, some of them just literally disappeared. Buffalo Springfield, various bands like that came out of the 60s. Cream had broken up. There's like only one member of the original Yardbirds still left. and then they made like one really, really early 70s album, and then they were, that whole thing was gone. And then you had things like the Faces and stuff and everything like, and those bands and stuff like that. But then you worked into, you're working into the 70s with like the Led Zeppelin. I don't know why. What is that noise? With Zeppelin, with Physical Graffiti, Houses of the Holy, some and Van Halen's just coming out during the 70s. Freaking just so much going on. Black Sabbath released Black Sabbath in 1970 releases Black Sabbath and Paranoid within a year of each other. Paranoid is actually considered is the top like rock and metal album for 1970. Pink Floyd, that's when they really start, where everybody starts remember, Pink Floyd, they don't think about Piper at the Gates of Dawn and stuff like that. Sid Barrett's already left, and they moved on with Roger Waters and that, and they've got Dark Side of the Moon, Wish You Were Here, those iconic albums coming out during the 70s. And then you're sitting there talking about, so then you're talking about the whole thing through disco and the changes in rock that ended up happening through to the end of the 70s, into 79. And then when the whole 80s thing started, then you saw bands, some bands transitioning and becoming 80s bands. The Police is a big example of the big change that came from when they started out in the mid 70s, and then went through the end of the decade, and then all of a sudden they became one of the biggest bands in the world, one of the biggest bands in the world per se, with like Synchronicity 2 and all their 80s albums and stuff. Freaking, everybody loves Roxanne, and everybody loves freaking Ghost, the Ghost of the Machine album and stuff like that. But they really went full blown 80s after that. Even though the Police never really put out a really bad album, but the Who was really gaining even more traction than what they had in the back end of the late 60s. But yeah, then you got like, you had the funk and the disco, I have nothing against, I love Parliament, Parliament. They're great, freaking George Clinton, all that stuff. Who doesn't love Bootsy Collins? Come on. But then like disco, everybody thought, it was people make such a big deal about disco, but it was such a short span of time. Like when you realize when the first real discos blow up, it was only literally a couple years out of the decade. It wasn't like disco didn't define the decade, because rock bands might have gotten a little bit lighter on some of them on one side of it, like say bands like Styx, who during the 70s put out six albums during the 70s, from Styx 1 through Cornerstone. And so, and that you had that type of rock. Freaking radio rock at the time was, you listened to, it was Journey. It was Styx. You might catch a little bit of Ted Nugent, a little Stranglehold. Most of his songs couldn't be put on the radio. Sammy Hagar starting to pick up a lot of traction in the late 70s and stuff, getting away from Montrose and stuff. But let's see. Oh no. And then you got Kiss. Somebody just brought it up. I knew at some point in time somebody was going to bring it up. Now there's a lot of obscure bands in the 70s that have been actually highlighted in certain movies. Like if anybody's ever watched the movie High Fidelity, Captain Beefheart and his Magic Band is highlighted, in one scene in that movie. And if you've ever got a chance to listen to Captain Beefheart, it's very interesting to listen to. If you're a Zappa fan, if you're that obscure, crazy freaking late 60s, early 70s music, then yeah, Captain Beefheart's something you can go listen to. But let's see. But somebody brought it up, so I'm gonna go ahead and the one disco album that everybody loves to hate, but somebody every time the damn song comes on the radio, I can't help but sing to it. Is "I Was Made for Loving You" by Kiss off the Dynasty album, or else actually known as the disco album. But yeah, Kiss. That's when Kiss just like they hit like that's when they just blew up. You got they come off their first album, Kiss. They go all of a sudden they're two albums in. They're a couple albums in, maybe three. I don't remember every bit of the discography, but then all of a sudden they come out with a live album, and that really just shoots. That's where they really get a big freaking momentum boost. And then they work, they put out during that, they put out Love Gun, they put out freaking Hotter Than Hell, and a lot of really good albums. And then they just happened to, they put out what is it, 70? I'm gonna look this one up because I'm not gonna get this one wrong because it's my favorite. It's my favorite album my favorite albums by Kiss. But they put out the solo albums, and the Ace Frehley. People can argue with me and think that Paul Stanley's album's the best, but Ace Frehley's albums is the best out of those. It's those solo albums, and then secondly is Peter Criss, and it's only because of one song. It's a remake of a song called "Tossing and Turning," which is just a. No, actually, I don't work in the music field. I'm just how you say it. I'm a fan of music. I played in marching bands and concert bands and everything else. Brass instruments. I'll just say that I started out on trombone. Yeah, Kiss Alive 2 is what really broke him and going into the back end of it. But Alive 1 was the one that kind of got people to notice him a little bit more outside the face paint. I mean, without the paint, without the gimmick and stuff like that, because they still had the gimmick was kind of working to that point, but Alive kind of put him in that spot where people start paying a little bit more attention to him. And then Alive 2 is when they blew up going into the last part of the 70s into the 80s. Double platinum, which is weird if you look at Kiss Alive 2 and Double Platinum. Yeah, Alive 2 has a lot more because you got like Rockin' and you got Rockin' USA, the coaster song. You got a lot of other stuff on Alive 2 that's not on Double Platinum, but it's like Double Platinum was like kind of like they always said they weren't going to do a greatest hits album, but it was a greatest hits album, just didn't say it on it. And it took years for them to come out with actually, after their 80s thing, and they were trying to do whatever. They decided to go out and put Smashes, Thrashes, and Hits, Greatest Hits Volume 1 or whatever it is. So, but yeah, so you got, Kiss came out in 74. Alive was actually, I'm sorry, that's right. It was the second album was Alive, and people started taking notice of them. And then Destroyer, Destroyer, then Love Gun, and then let's see. And then that's when, Love Gun and Alive 2 came out in the same year. And then they decide, and Hotter Than Hell had come out in 74. A lot of these bands had this thing about putting like two albums out at the same time, like Dressed to Kill. Like Kiss put out like two albums a year, it seemed like, from 74 through like 79. But yeah, so you got Rock and Roll Over. But yeah, so, but the solo albums, like I said, I know that I want to say that's, I hope that I got I want to say that's like 78. No, okay, so it's like, back into 78 to 79. And the Ace Frehley album, when he broke away from the band, I immediately started following him. I was always an Ace Frehley fan. I've always thought that he's the most talented of anybody that was in the band, and they made a big mistake by letting him go. But Tommy Thayer, Kulick, those guys are all phenomenal guitarists. But I just think that that was the end of the best Kiss era, the best group of Kiss together. I don't think it's the best era of Kiss, but it's the best group of Kiss was with Frehley and Peter Criss. Peter Criss wasn't the best drummer they ever had. That's still going to be Eric Carr slash singer. But let's see. Oh, Bosio. Yeah, he's a freaking killer drummer. But let's see. What do we got? Roop. Hey, what's going on? Sugar Kitty Metal Mania. That's right. Yeah, MSG Michael Schenker group was freaking really good. So Sugar Kitty brings up Alcatraz. I had said this last week that the band Alcatraz is really cool because some people don't realize that back-to-back guitarists for Alcatraz were Yngwie Malmsteen and Steve Vai. But that's a really, really back end of the 70s into the 80s but they really didn't Alcatraz really didn't get going until in the 80s. But let's see. Yeah, Eric Carr, that was a sad day for just people in rock in general, because he was a really good musician. Let's see. Oh, sorry, Macaulay Schenker Group. Now it's called the Michael Schenker Group, which is really so. When you say MSG, I automatically go to it. But yeah, the Schenker was left UFO. He played with Scorps for a while and stuff, and then he went off and did his thing. He got Uli John Roth. I mean, the Scorpions had some really, really awesome guitarists. Also in the 70s, their albums prior to Blackout and stuff like prior to Blackout, like freaking what was the one I was thinking? I just freaking had it in my freaking head too. But it was Scorpions changed a lot over the 70s, kind of the same way that Judas Priest completely went from the Stained Class and the Wings of Destiny and all stuff like that. That was the classic Priest was moving its way towards what people consider to be Priest, which, some people when you talk to them about Priest, they just think of everything from, hey, what's up, Tito? They think of stuff from Screaming for Vengeance, maybe Hellbent for Leather. They might pull off something, but then, or they know Hellion Electric Eye. For some reason, most people that have ever heard that knows anything outside of Screaming for Vengeance and Defenders of the Faith, which are, don't get me wrong, there's good songs on it, but they're nowhere near the best albums they've ever put out. They might know Hellion, or they listen to the Judas Priest live albums. They know like Green Malinishi from hearing that album. But there's so many freaking awesome songs by Priest that people, people don't go back and listen to Stained Class. They don't go back and listen to British Steel. They don't go back and listen to Sad Wings of Destiny. They just don't do it. Some people just aren't as nostalgic about it as I am. Someone like Cheech, or, I know some younger people that are really into, that really done their research on the influences to other bands and stuff like that. British Steel is probably their best. I think it's probably their best album. Some people will agree, some people won't, but guess what? Everybody has their opinions. Just like people didn't. I got a few comments about my saying that the best era of Kiss was the 80s. But just because I'm an 80s guy and I like that whole lick it up, freaking Animalize era of Kiss. But see. Yeah. So like Floydian says, people know that's the other thing too. That was kind of made it like a resurgence of some of the earlier rock bands was like he says this right here. What is it? Hellion Electric Eye was on Guitar Hero. So when everybody started playing Guitar Hero, the songs that were on there by Priest were like Hellion Electric Eye, Breaking the Law. I'm trying to think. I used to have all the packs. Freaking You Got Another Thing Coming, Turbo Lover, Living After Midnight was on there on one of the packs. But yeah. And then when we get farther into Priest down the rabbit hole, going forward, Dale Kelly Says It. One of the best, I think, one of the best rock vocal performances ever to be put on a record is "Painkiller" with Rob Halford by Judas Priest. Just if the first time you hear the song, once he starts doing the painkiller part of it, I can't do it. I used to be able to try to get at least decent on it, but my throat is freaking completely thrashed over the years. But yeah. So Edward Filmer, Matchville just turned 41, so I missed. Okay, so I missed some killer stuff in the 80s, but I still saw many bands the kids these days wish they saw live. Yeah. So okay, the thing is that a lot of bands in that time, that was like, Love Drive, Animal. There you go. Thank you, Richie. Thank you for freaking kicking me in the ass on Love Drive and freaking Animal Magnetism. But there was a lot of bands that people ended up seeing in the late 80s, I'd say. The late 80s of these 70s bands that were coming back out right at the very end of the 80s. UFO going back out on tour. Deep Purple never really leave. Deep Purple retiring every 3 or 4 years, saying we're not coming back, and then they just literally just did their last tour like a year and a half ago, with their rotating freaking band of idiots over at Deep Purple, and that's another band too. Deep Purple. Just think about the freaking lead singers that Deep Purple had in the 70s. You had David Coverdale. You had freaking the bassist. Glenn Hughes and David Coverdale at the same time in the band. Then you had freaking Ian Gillian, freaking holy crap. There's so many freaking, they had so many different different singers, and Rainbow with their rotating freaking with Richie Blackmore being freaking off, a little bit off, and the rotating freaking group that he had going through Rainbow with Dio singing there. Joy Lynn Turner was singing with Rainbow for a little while and everything else. And then you had Paul Rogers with Bad Company. And then Paul Rogers before that with damn. I just had the song in my head too. All Right Now. What's the band? Come on, guys, throw it out there. All Right Now. That was 1970. That was 1970. I'm gonna kick myself in the ass for that one. I just freaking brain farted. Aerosmith. That's the thing too. Is like Aerosmith came out with a few. Started their whole thing. I really got it. Yeah, Graham Bonnet. That's another thing. Graham Bonnet was a freaking singer for him. I mean, just Free. Thank you. God. The easiest name in the world to remember, other than the and freaking or the Who, and I freaking fucked it up. But yeah, so I was born in '69. Grew up with uncles that listened to Zeppelin and all of that stuff, and Rainbow, all these bands I'm talking about. And finally, when I was old enough to start buying albums, I was really into 80s music, but the first two albums that I've ever got for Christmas, once my mom realized that Kiss wasn't Knights in Satan's Service, that it was just a band that put on crazy makeup. Yeah, they had a guy that had spit blood, but it was all. Once she realized that it wasn't like this freaking devil worshiping band, she bought me Alive 2, and then. Because I asked for it because my uncles had it and I loved I just loved it. I love that album. And 100,000 Years. 100,000 years. Yeah, I can't. Excuse my voice. But yeah, that whole, yeah. And then I turned around and bought double platinum because it was just because I'm an idiot. And then every time my mom asked me what I wanted for my birthday, it was a Kiss album. So I ended up with Dynasty. I ended up with Love Gun and a lot of those albums off of Casablanca Records. And all the solo albums and all that good stuff. Then I went back into early 80s, getting into 80s metal and stuff like that and buying stuff from there. But Pink Floyd, always been a freaking huge fan. Like I said earlier, Syd Barrett leaving, Dark Side of the Moon, Wish You Were Here. Dark Side of the Moon, literally probably single-handedly the best album, easily top 5 greatest albums ever made. Meatloaf, nobody realizes that Bat Out of Hell is that freaking they realize it's old, but they don't realize it's that old. And for two of the longest charting albums in history, and 2 of the biggest charting albums in history, Bat Out of Hell and freaking Dark Side of the Moon, to be in that same era is crazy. When you look at the list of the albums that came out during that time, I mean, you got Eric Clapton leaves Cream. He leaves Steve Winwood is Traffic is just gaining a little bit of momentum right before they end up splitting up. You got trying to think. Blind Faith is split up, and Traffic had started. Eric Clapton went on his own, but then during the same year as his solo album, he put out Derek and the Dominoes, which ended up putting out Layla, but it also ended up just imploding and being like the worst project that he was ever involved in. But it put out some really good music. Let's see. So I missed something here. Who are we talking about when we're talking about Richie Z? Said he changed metal forever and died at 34. But Death's cover of Plain Killer is insane. Yeah. But there's a whole bunch of so then you got like Ozzy, Black Sabbath comes out with a few albums. Paranoid, they come out with Paranoid. Coming out with Black Sabbath, they come out with Paranoid. They come up with the whole Ozzy era in the 70s. Then Ozzy freaking he's gone. And he starts his whole going on his solo career, and then we end up going through the whole Dio era of Black Sabbath and stuff like that. But Paranoid, like I said, was the top album in 1970. It varies depending on who you're talking to. I don't know why I keep on getting this beep. Depends on who you talk. Depends on what chart you go to. It was between Paranoid and Simon and Garfunkel, where in 1970, where they flip-flop spots on different charts for being the best album of the year or being the number 1 album of the year. But like I said, you got like Captain Beefheart. You've got bands from Europe that are at the very back end of the 70s. The Angel Witch is starting to gain a little traction in freaking England, and then people don't realize the influence that Angel Witch had on that had on what would become thrash metal. Metallica always refers to Lars Simmons. Gene Ulrich. Lars Ulrich said, is always referring to Angel Witch as one of the bands that influenced him as a drummer, but also did influence the band in general. Let's see. Ain't No Love in the Heart of. The other thing is that then you had the breakup of the Jefferson Airplane. It just kind of like everybody went everywhere, but we still had a kind of a core band for a little while. Fleetwood Mac, another freaking great rock band. That was like so Stevie Nicks, Lindsey Buckingham. prior to them joining the band, the original Fleetwood, the first Fleetwood Mac albums, those first albums were okay, but it's Lindsey. But I think that even though I love Stevie Nicks, Lindsey Buckingham said, "Hey, if my girlfriend can come with me into the band and sing, we're good." And he brought Stevie with him. So I think Fleetwood Mac never would have been as big as they were if it wasn't for Lindsey Buckingham, not just his playing, but him deciding that, saying that I will only join the band if my girlfriend, Stevie Nicks at the time, could be part of it too. But yeah, it's a running joke with me. I brought it up, and people kind of get a kick out of it when I do the whole Gene Ulrich, Lars Simmons thing, because they're just two generations of the exact same person. I love Gene Simmons with all my heart as a member of Kiss, and he made them a worldwide brand for almost 50 fucking years now, almost. Okay. If they went out tomorrow, if they were able to go out tomorrow and do a world tour, they'd still sell out. So he did his job, but he was always upfront about it. He was always upfront about it. Hey, I'm going to get paid. Hell, the guy tried to freaking trademark the dollar sign. I mean, that's just him. The reason I don't like Lars is because he tried to be sneaky about it, and then all of a sudden came out and, he's always got some sort of sneaky deal going on. And then whenever anybody wants to do something, he always has to interject and say, no, you can't do that because you're either part of this band or you're not. That's why Jason Newsted left. But either way, so, Paul Stanley's a bad man. He's a bad mamma jamma, but he's no Ace Frehley. I like Ace Frehley's voice better. I don't know why. He's a freaking way better guitar player, and I'm a Frehley's Comet, Ace Frehley freaking fan. Whitesnake, that's another one. Yeah, freaking that's when Whitesnake was Whitesnake, before the whole "Here I Go Again on My Own," that whole 80s era. That's the, Slide It In, freaking all that. I mean, the really heavy bluesy freaking rock with David Coverdale's freaking awesome freaking voice. Yeah, so, but I'm not going to bring. I want to put it on the screen so much, but I don't think that some people might get what Cheech is saying, because he's not the first person to say it. But I'm sorry, I'm going to bring it up. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Lars didn't play on Master of Puppets. Probably Dave Lombardo. It's kind of a running joke in the background with a lot of people in like a lot of bands, bar bands in LA, and people that I know that are my age, that Lars Ulrich they use session drummers on a couple albums because he's not. And if you see Lars now, he's not. He's nowhere near the drummer that he was on those albums. He can't even remember. He can't remember shit he just freaking recorded the same year. But whatever. We're not going to get into that. Cheech can sing like Coverdale. Well, then Cheech, we need to get some, you singing some slide it in, some freaking, the original version of "Here I Go Again." See, there's people don't realize that that's actually a cover of one of their own songs from another album. But slow and easy. Then you got, so then there was a big thing on covers that I had done from the 80s when I was talking about Fastway covering Easy Living. Freaking Slay, Metal Health, Quiet Riot covering Slade songs. Well, these are songs that were from the 70s that ended up getting remade in the hair metal era of the 80s. But from the original bands, I like the original versions more. Was it UFO, Easy Living? Right? If I made a mistake, I'm gonna freaking kick myself in the ass so bad for saying it before I freaking thought about it. But then you had you had the UFOs, bands that popped up here and there with different lineups. But UFOs iconic. Uriah Heep, another band that's freaking huge in the '70s. But I really kind of got into Styx for a while during the '70s too when I was a young kid. I always liked that. I always, for some reason, liked the Tommy Shaw's voice. Then Dennis Young's voice also, but Paradise Theater was a freaking iconic album. Well, so was Cornerstone. So I mean, so much freaking stuff Styx put out. The transition of Journey from the original singer into the Steve Perry era. Songs like Lights, which are freaking awesome freaking songs. Loving, Touching, Squeezing. Those songs like that. Those are, I mean, they're great. Oh yeah, I knew it. Right after I said it, it's got. That's why I brought up Uriah Heep too. Thank you for kicking me in the ass. Now I'm gonna regret I said that all night long. Motorhead put out 4 or 5 albums during. I'm sorry, it was more. Yeah, it was 4 albums in the '70s. You got Motorhead, Overkill, Bomber, and On Parole. This is pre Ace of Spades. Ace of Spades was 1980, so in 1980s when they were really noticed. But and this is Lemmy coming off of being in Hawkwind, and doing songs with Girls School. So he's already been a name basically in the English metal, the English rock and metal scene in the '70s. He's already picked up traction playing with Hawkwind and Girls School and stuff like that. And then when he created Motorhead with in that, then that's when the Motorhead sound started, but really didn't kick in until, and I'd say between around the back end of the Bomber On Parole, but then really kicked in Ace of Spades and on. Whatever he considers to be the classic Motorhead sound, was tightened up really in that era, that era of freaking Motorhead. But yeah, I'm a great hard Southern band. Who's he talking about now? With Shane, what kind of obscure shit are you bringing out? Yeah, Lemmy, rest in peace. I'm actually working on a Jack Daniels and Lemmy video right now, and just taking a long time because I love him. I love freaking Motorhead. I love the whole persona of Lemmy. I'm not like a uber fan where I know every little detail about Motorhead and all that stuff like that. I just know that I really like the band. I like the attitude of Lemmy. There's a reason why he's always like, what is it, Airheads? In Airheads, when he says, "Are you a cop?" No, I'm not a cop. Okay, and if you're not a cop, answer this question. Who wins between a fight between Lemmy and God? And the guy's like, he answers, was it Lemmy or whatever? And he goes, "It's a trick question. Lemmy is God. You're a fucking pig." That's the running thing of, Lemmy is God. And he's one of the, he's literally one of the biggest icons in freaking rock ever. I literally put Lemmy icon wise up there with Johnny Cash, Elvis Presley, in that same level for me, at least. He was I guess you say he's my Elvis Presley, or he's my Johnny Cash for when I was growing up. But let's see. Flirting with Disaster. Yeah, and then you got this, there you go. You got Marshall Tucker Band and freaking Leonard Skinner and stuff like that. You got we talked to somebody brought it up last week. Ozark Mountain. Damn it! But you got like songs like Jackie Blue and some of those other bands from some of the southern bands. But Blackfoot, stuff like that. That's really cool. Molly Hatchet. Wow, I haven't heard that. Literally, I mean, I think Flirt with Disaster thing. But I haven't heard Molly Hatchet. The name, I remember the cover. The cover of the Molly Hatchet album was freaking really bitching. Yeah, there you go. Freaking yeah, Sugar Kitty's all up in this one. She's freaking ready to get Sugar Kitty. I can't say she or he. I nobody is, but Sugar Kitty's all up in this shit. Let's see. Yeah, that's the thing. There's actually a documentary that is really really cool about Lemmy that's on YouTube, just called Lemmy. If you just type in Lemmy, it's one of the first things that pops up. It's an hour and a half or so long, and it just basically it starts out with him shirtless in his freaking inside of his living room, in an apartment in Hollywood, playing an old school freaking video game, and then literally right there within like two or three drinks, he's gone through a freaking fifth, Jack Daniels and stuff, and it's and he's just straightforward about freaking who he is. Allman Brothers, yeah, freaking that's another freaking cool band. I was also a fan. Some people don't like him. I do. I was a huge Doobie Brothers fan too, and that's only because my mom was really into him, and so we listened to it all the time. Michael McDonald's voice was just something about his voice was freaking awesome. Oh, Blackwater, keep on rolling, Mississippi, won't you keep on? I mean, that's just taking it to the streets. All that stuff was just freaking awesome. I was a big freaking Doobie fan. So then we get into Cheech is from New York, so Cheech could be probably a little bit. He knows a lot more about this than I do, but it may be because I don't know what Cheech's age is, but I know that he's at least close enough of my age to maybe be able to enlighten us a little bit on freaking like CBGBs, the punk scene, London Calling by the Clash, Sex Pistols, the Ramones. I mean, all that Police before they became the Police that we know, back when they were a punk band. But like I was saying, I saw a documentary the other day. It's called A Band Called Death, and it's on YouTube. And if you can watch it, it's literally it's just an awesome documentary. And it's about a band, three brothers in Detroit. They're black. They're during the Motown era and everything else of the 70s. They were punk before punk. That's basically what it is. They actually has an article that says they were punk rock before punk rock was punk. And it's a basically documentary about everything that happened to them, and then about a revival of their music, and people were searching out these 45s of their song, and one of their songs and stuff. Oh yeah, freaking right at the very end. That's freaking awesome, Cheech. And if you have any pictures of that, you got to throw things like that up on the, one of these days we bring you on, or if you're on somebody if you're gonna be on somebody's live, and send them the pictures, so just something as a talking point and stuff like that. That'd be freaking awesome. But yeah, freaking yeah, this is all my music here, yeah. But yeah, so the whole that 70s punk scene and everything else, but they were, and if you listen in their freaking album, so they put out a 45 to A B side. That was the only thing that was actually ever pressed. Then the tape sat in the tape sat away for years. Somebody came across the 45, thought it was one of the greatest things they ever heard, and they start spreading the word, and then it just blew up in this thing where they actually ended up releasing an album with all the original songs, because they had them on the masters that were given to them by the record company when the record company couldn't sign them. The record companies wouldn't sign them, so the studio just gave them the master tapes because they wouldn't change their name from Death. And then the thing that I think is funny is that, like I say, Death. Well, then basically they were Death before Death. So anybody that knows who Death, anybody that's into that style of music of Death, death metal. Well, you say death metal, kind of like the original, one of the original death metal bands, but the Florida-based death metal scene, Death, freaking Schuldner, Chuck Schuldner. I can't pronounce it. Never can pronounce his name, but Chuck Schuldner Death. So basically, these guys were Death before Death. And what's really weird is I saw the album for years, for like 5 or 6 years in record stores, and I was like, wait a second, is there some other freaking weird ass whatever doing this Death thing, using the name Death? That's kind of messed up. Then I find out that it's actually a band that was out before that, before the Death that we know. But yeah, so it's one of those things where. Jerry Black, Leonard Skinner. Yeah, I mean everybody. That's the thing too, is that with Leonard Skinner, if you're a Leonard Skinner fan, you're a Leonard Skinner fan. But if you're not a Leonard Skinner fan, you really don't care for. You really literally just don't like them. I don't know that they're. I've never really met anybody that was kind of in between. It's either they are a fan of Leonard Skinner and they really get into the whole, give me 3 steps, all that stuff, freaking, and they get past the Freebird stage. And then you have the people that just don't like them. There's not really and that's the other thing too, is that the two words I hated a concert most: Freebird and Slayer. Those are the 2 things I hate freaking at concerts to hear, because no matter what metal concert you go to, these I've gone to in the last, say, 5 or 6, 7 years, or whatever, Slayer's not playing, but you got these freaking idiots freaking screaming Slayer and shit all the time. And that's the thing too. I brought this up on a live before, but some people might not know this. Look at what is it? So you're at a concert, you're at a rock concert, metal concert, whatever, but the lights are down. You're waiting for the freaking next band to go on. Blah blah blah. They start playing music over the PA. A lot of metal concerts, they have certain songs that play in between bands. One of them is "Fear of the Dark" by Iron Maiden, because everybody gets into singing the freaking, doing all that shit. Another one is they've always got Megadeth. They've always got like one long Megadeth, a Hangar 18 or a Tornado, or one of the or they do "Hello Me, It's Me Again." That freaking Sweating Bullets. That's another one they like to do. But the one that everybody gets into the most is freaking Journey. And which always kills me. It's that you got all these freaking long hair, freaking, they got their battle jackets on. They've been in the pit all freaking night. Then they all of a sudden you hear "Just a Small Town Girl," and then freaking everybody freaking starts singing it. And it's freaking, and that, and the latest one is "Like a Stone" by Chris Cornell. That's a huge one too now. But I always got a kick out of the fact that no matter what concert I went to, whether they were, I've been to country concerts, just freaking different styles of music concerts, but during intermissions, for some reason, that song plays and everybody sings it, and it's funny to watch. Yeah, and that's the thing too. That's another thing that nobody that I haven't brought up, and nobody else really, I haven't noticed them bringing it up from kind of not watching the chat as much as I should be. And you guys are having really cool conversations, so I'm kind of like more interested in that than bringing up people's comments and stuff. Lords of the New Church. Wow, freaking haven't heard that one in a long time. But AC/DC. AC/DC, freaking, you had Highway to Hell, you had freaking High Voltage, you had freaking Dirty D. Oh, I'm not gonna do it again. I will actually look this one up again, like I did Kiss, because I can never remember, because AC/DC put out so many freaking albums in a short period of time, and then changing from Bon Scott to Brian Johnson after almost completing the recordings of For Those About to Rock, and Bon Scott dying, and then bringing in freaking Brian Johnson to redo the album again, right? Is that For Those About to Rock? Yeah, it was For Those About to Rock, right? Did that happen, or was it Back in Black? It was For Those About to Rock, right? Cheech would probably, yeah. Dirty Deeds Done with Sheep, with Powerage. Well, okay, yeah. And the thing is that the thing that I always got with AC/DC was, and people, it's the same thing that's with Kiss. Kind of the same thing that's with Aerosmith. A lot of those bands that are like today still sell out freaking arenas is that they kept a lane. You know what I mean? Yeah, you had the fluctuation through the 80s with Kiss, and then all the way through like Hot in the Shade, Revenge, and then they kind of got back after the Symphony album to just doing like even Psycho Circus is more 70-ish than freaking a lot of the things they were doing in the 80s and stuff. But then they started doing like the live albums and doing more touring than putting out albums and shit like that. But there's no change. There's no change. I mean, there's no evolution through in AC/DC. If you think about it, if you really think about all the albums they put out, they just keep it freaking the same all the time. But you always want to sing their songs. You always want to tap your foot. But is anybody else still here? Is anybody else hearing that beep too? I'm sorry if you are. I'm trying to figure out where the hell that's coming from. But let's see. Well, we'll figure it out. But yeah, AC/DC. Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. So I was wrong. It was for Back in Black. Back in Black was recorded by Bon Scott prior to, most of it was recorded by Bon Scott. The album wasn't completely finished. And then Brian Johnson, after Bon Scott passed away, came in, they redid the album, and then that's when the Brian Johnson era started. But if you get the box set of the Back in Black, if you can get a hold of the Back in Black box set, it has the songs that were done by Bon Scott on another disc. Or you can get I don't know if it's Australian only, but I know it's like a really limited edition. I can't remember. It's not US, but they have a whole box set of AC/DC from the beginning to today, of every album they put out live, the whole 9 yards. But that Back in Black has 2 albums, and one is the Bon Scott version of the songs on the album that he did, and then the Brian Johnson version. But yeah, so you think about, okay, so here's AC/DC. So then a 5-year period, this is from 1975 to 1980, you have High Voltage, but that was Australia only. But then their first official album for here in the States is TNT. Then High Voltage was re-released. Then you got Dirty Deeds, which I really completely didn't realize that Dirty Deeds was 1976. Now I really feel freaking old. Wow. That's 1976. Let There Be Rock, Power Age, and Highway to Hell. Or Power Age. Some people say Power Age. I say Power Age. Whatever. All those albums came out in the freaking 70s. That's freaking crazy. You know? And literally up to, For Those About to Rock was what I believe to be the end of the AC/DC heyday. Though they had other freaking songs that were freaking like Thunderstruck and all this other shit off of other albums of Blow Up Your Video and freaking Flick of the Switch and Stiff Upper Lip and stuff like that. Though they had songs that were good, I think that For Those About to Rock was the end of my favorite of basically, that's where I cut off AC/DC. I can listen to any of those other albums prior to For Those About to Rock. I can just put them all back to back and just listen to them until they're done and then just turn around and listen to them again. After that, it's more of hit and miss with songs and various other stuff. So yeah, this freaking, can anybody else hear like a beep that keeps on popping up? Just want to know if it's just me hearing it in my headphones and it's just something else I got to worry about later. But let's see if anybody wants to, so I've got a half an hour ish. I got 40 minutes. Till Hot Buttery rolls. So if there's anybody that wants to come on and tell me that I'm completely full of shit and that I should be freaking hung up to dry because of the fuck ups I've made tonight, go ahead and come on. Tell me that. Um, I don't. If you don't want to come on, that's not. That's fine. It doesn't matter. Eventually, at some point in time, I will get. Like Tito. If you want to jump on, cool. If you don't, hey, no love lost. We can do this anytime. We can go ahead and do. We can try it out. We can try it out on Instagram next Thursday. You pick the time next Thursday night. We can go on and just do like a real quick interview and get used to talking to each other and everything else. And then we can go ahead and bring you on a different Saturday or whatever if you don't want to. But you know what? We'll do that. Tito, next week. Okay, so next week's subject. I'll put it out there now so people can get ahead of it and everything else. And then Tito, this is something that Tito will probably be able to help me out with because I only have a very small knowledge of the era. I know the bands, I know some of the songs, but Orange County, Southern California punk rock scene. Want to say, OC punk rock scene, OC ska scene, that whole era of, the Offspring and freaking No Doubt, the Agent Oranges were like late 70s into early 80s, but they're still OC band. Social Distortion, freaking DI, those bands, stuff like that. The Orange County freaking music scene in the freaking 80s and the late 80s into the pretty much all the way through to the late 90s. The pop punk scene, things like the Dollhouse. The bands that play at the Dollhouse, the bands that play at freaking, at Chain Reaction and stuff like that. I think that Shane has more. Yeah, that's more his speed. So we can do that next week, Shane, if you just want to wait till next week, because that's cool too. But I will have, and I'm putting this out there, I will be the one that gets Sugar Kitty on a live. Now, you don't have to, Sugar Kitty, listen, hear me out. You can leave the screen completely black and just talk. If you want to disguise your voice with a freaking one of those stupid freaking things you put against your throat or whatever, fine. But I want to get Cheech Ardolino on here, which I think that at some point in time I will. This is his day off. I don't want to freaking push that. He's finally got a Saturday off. He gets to hang out in a chat at at 8:00 at night. He gets to go through the whole chat with the whole Hot Buttery Rolls, and he actually gets to spend a Saturday night with his wife, a whole freaking weekend with his wife that hasn't happened in a long time. So I'm not going to push him to do anything tonight, but eventually I'll get Cheech to come on, and like Tito, Tito will work on that for next week. I'll DM you. We'll get that all worked out. And then like I said, Cheech says he's not currently set up to stream. So so once he gets all that, once he's ready to go, I'll get Cheech on. But somehow, okay, post punk or whatever. Yeah, okay, Sugar Kitty. Yeah, it's post punk, but it's OC punk scene. It's got its own. It's got the early Blink 182 before they became popular. No Doubt before when they were a lot punkier before a lot of the ska influence was put on. We can do a ska. Anybody in the chat that if they ever want to do a ska segment, we can do that too. I can bring I can see if I can bring my brother on because he's a skanker. He loves freaking ska music, but I can talk ska music too. The Untouchables and freaking English Beat and all that good stuff too. Let's see. Okay. Well, Sugar Kitty someday. You never know. We'll get So we'll get that. We'll get stuff worked out and get because Sugar Kitty is people always like to say that I'm a freaking OG. I've been here for a year, but ever since I've been here, so is Sugar Kitty and Cheech and some. There's a lot of these guys, a lot of these people that I've seen that were in here before me. But people shout me, and I appreciate the fact that people shout me out and make it seem like that I'm actually something on freaking YouTube and in the chats that I really don't. I always tell Kyoko don't self-deprecate, but I don't feel I'm literally at that level. That's why when Like today I'm looking and I'm at 450. I'm up to 450 on freaking Instagram. I gained over, like in just a week, I gained like 60, almost 70 people in a week. That's kind of freaking amazing to me. I haven't really been pushing my Instagram. But then over here, I'm up to 130 something or whatever it was earlier this morning, but I hadn't checked prior to this. But I want to say, I'm gaining a little bit by little bit. My thing is the watch hours. People are actually like, I can't believe that people are actually watching large chunks of these shit show lives of mine. And I'm almost to 300 freaking watch hours already with just like the 6 or 7 videos that I have. So it's one of those things where it's like, okay, cool. People don't hate me. That's great. But, having 19 people watching me, 19 people watching me now is freaking awesome. But, yeah, so I'm almost to 140 subscribers, which is great. I mean, this time last week I had just literally hit 100, like literally earlier in that day. So, another 40 subscribers just over a few days is freaking great. Did you say self-deprecate or self-defecate? Deprecate. If it sounds like just self-defecate, I'm still suffering some of the palsy, the Bell's palsy stuff. So every once in a while, I start getting the slurs and the things that run into each other. Yeah, I think we all saw self-defecate. Yeah. No, I'm not self-defecating. All right, guys. Oh wow, are we starting our own little war here on this channel now, Curver? First it's you and DC. Now is Cheech messing with you or something? I didn't really notice, but now you're threatening to freaking tie me out just because? Wow. Daniel Curver, yeah, just because. But yeah, this is freaking great. When I mod, I promote. Well, you know what, Cheech? I'm going to see. Let me check something out here. Where are we going? Cheech Ardolino. Well, now you don't have a choice, Daniel. Sorry, I just made him a mod. So, and then I know that where's Jen? When she pops on, I'll freaking do the same thing. But so I never even drank my freaking whiskey. So what's everybody drinking? Tito, have you picked out a new your next bottle of what you're going to do your next video on? Because I don't know. I kind of if you've got, I'd like to see you do I know this is really this would be a touchy thing because it's like you don't want to get into those really the higher bottles or whatever you call it, the with the old Ezra 7 and those bottles, the 2 bottles you've done so far, they're they got a pretty decent price point. But at some point in time, I got to see you do this with a freaking a Remus Repeal or what do you call it? Maybe a Houston. You don't have to do a Houston 14. A 12 would be okay, but if you did a 14, that'd be really kind of cool too. But actually, you know what? If you've got a rare breed rye that was a 116.6 or whatever, I'd actually love to see you do the titration station with a rare breed rye and see how much it differs with the proofing down and stuff. I don't know. It's just because I like it. I like rare breed rye. And I like to see what it. I mean, I've got Wild Turkey 101, but I mean Wild Turkey 101 rye. But it'd be really. I think that'd be really cool to like do a Wild Turkey that's higher proof to Wild Turkey, and then proof it down to 101 and see how greatly different it is than a regular Wild Turkey 101. like a single barrel or something like that. That'd be a really cool thing to do too. Yeah, like a Houston 14. Well, yeah, Cheech just said it. Cheech was talking to Samurai about something else, but yeah, C920 or something like a barrel proof or a toasted barrel, Michter's, or just something that people wouldn't expect you to want to proof down. That you got to have it at this. You got to have it. Oh, yeah, it's 112. So yeah, rare breed rides 112. So that means that regular rare breed is the 116, I think. Hypnotic. Jerry Black's reading Hypnotic. Are you also you also have a freaking Four Loko with you too? Sorry, I don't mean to throw shade. Just freaking every time I hear somebody say something about like Hypnotic and stuff like that, I immediately think Four Loko, stuff like that. And for those that are old enough to know what this is, Zima. For some reason, I always think of things like that. Yeah, Ribby Wrights freaking is great. Yeah, 116.8. That's the there you go. Edward Fulmer just cracked his batch 15. Awesome. Haven't had it yet. Can't find it. And anytime that the liquor store that likes to reach out to me when they have something, he only got 2 bottles for some reason. He got 2 bottles of freaking Stag 15, but he got freaking like 3 cases of freaking Buffalo Trace and freaking 2 cases of Wheatley vodka handles and all this other shit to get those 2 bottles, a whole bunch of shit he had to buy to get the 2 bottles of Stag. And then he has to sell the bottles of Stag at like $150. Or he doesn't have to if he doesn't want to, but he chooses to. And I told him no. I said, I'm only going to buy it at retail this time. I bought it for $100 the last time. Yeah. Is it worth $100? Maybe. That 14. But at the same time, I'm not ever going to do that again because I like it, but not enough to drop secondary on it. Yeah, that was the thing too. Is like Zima people. It was one way or the other. It was either you drank enough to where you felt that you were so drunk that you ended up freaking getting sick, or you drank so much you're like, wait a second, I can get more of a freaking buzz off of a good water. I can get more of a buzz off of New York Seltzer. I don't know if I know Cheech knows about them. Those little tiny little freaking New York Seltzer Company seltzers, the flavored seltzer waters, the blackberries and all some of that. I used to freaking love those things when I was freaking a kid. Then they disappeared and I've never seen them since. But I used to love those little freaking seltzer bottles. Those were great. Yeah. Yeah, Cheddar Kitty, exactly. $99 is a lot different than $199, but at the same time, when other stores that are getting a few more bottles than that are selling them at $69, but they're just selling out. I mean, they're an hour away, so by the time I get there, they're gone. So I have to really want to be going down there to do other things to make that trip to hope that it's there, because there's not a lot of places. Even when you have a hookup, there's not a lot of places that hold it for very long. Like there's a couple stores down in Costa Mesa that if I called them and said I'm on my way, they'll hold it. But they know that if I'm not there within an hour, then I know it's going to be free game. So I hit some heavy traffic and I don't call them fast enough to tell them, hey, I'm just stuck in traffic. I'm literally down the street or whatever. If it's past that hour mark, boom, they'll just first come, first serve. So okay, cool. Yeah. New York Seltzer used to be the bomb when I was a freaking kid. I was like, I used to drink that when my mom, we'd get sodas. My mom would say, what kind of soda do you want? And she'd like buy like a 6-pack of sodas there's 5 of us kids. So she'd buy like 6-pack of soda and then we'd all have to vote on what 6 packs of soda we wanted. And for a long time, we'd all say New York Seltzer. We'd get like the New York Seltzer berry and the strawberry and the different lemon and all this other stuff. And that's what we had for forever. Used to love that shit. Just like we used to have pop shops. I don't know if anybody else had these. I don't know, Richie Z, if you grew up in California and everything else. They used to have this place called the Pop Shop, where you'd get these racks of these 8-ounce bottles of soda. And they were like made literally right there at the pop shop. Like it was a chain that had like probably about 10 or 15 stores throughout California that were like in these really obscure places, but you'd go there and you take your empties back to them, trade them in basically like cores on batteries and stuff, trade them in, and then you get a discount on a whole new rack of sodas, and have like really, really good like black cherries and stuff like that, like the old school sugar soda, cane sugar sodas. And my dad would, because it was really cheap compared to buying stuff in the store, regular stores, we'd have freaking stacks, because my dad was a black cherry soda fan. We'd have these freaking stacks of these freaking crates. And then once a month we'd go out to this little pop shop and see what the new stuff was and everything else. And it was great, but those kind of places aren't around anymore. The only way that I have type 2 diabetes, but I really like a good, every once in a while when I can afford to do it or whatever, health wise, I like a good cane sugar soda, which is something I do kind of miss the taste of it. But heavy sugar sometimes makes me sick now because it's been so long since I've had that kind of deal. But I still like to go get me some like old cream sodas and stuff, like you go to Bevmo or someplace. They've revived all these old brands. Bubble Up, freaking! If you're not from the 70s and early 80s, you don't know what Bubble Up is. And Bubble Up is, sorry to say, better. It's always better than 7-Up. The original Mellow Yellow, before this new rebirth of it with all the new branding and shit. Freaking cane sugar Mountain Dew. You can still get that stuff now. You get all this about Faygo, all the Faygos, a lot of the old Soda Jerk style freaking cream sodas and red creams and stuff like that. You can still get those now today at like Bevmo's and some specialty shops and stuff. Let's see. Dark Jaeger. Jaeger and Purple Powerade. Wow. Yeah, it might have been just a SoCal thing, Richie. But Mr. Whiskey Shits, is he in here? Did I miss him? Say Samurai's here. Owner of the least family friendly handle on whiskey. Okay, so he's obviously in here and I just missed him. If I missed you, Whiskey Shits, I'm sorry. There you go. What's up, Mr. Whiskey Shits? Yeah, it was really cool the other day hanging out with you, talking at length on Wednesday night. That was really fun. Anybody that was in the chat on Wednesday know that I went a little long on Wednesday night. I think it ended up being almost 5 hours, whatever it was. Spent a lot of time talking to Mr. Whiskey Shits. He lives in Utah, and we've been talking about their liquor laws and some music stuff and everything else. It was a lot of fun. And Cohen was in the chat for a long time. Richie Z was there for a while. A lot of there was a lot of people that were there for a rather large amount of the time, and then it just kind of, the last hour it kind of, it waned off. But of course, nobody wants to be up that late for they can listen to my bullshit. They can listen to a whole bunch of other people's. Oh, there's Jen Ardolino. It's time. Hold on. Where is she at? Come on. I gotta do this before I forget. There she is. Jen's on, so since Cheech Ardolino is a wrench, so shall I say that Jen is also. So yeah. I'm not going to do I kind of have a lot for only having 20-ish people, usually 20 to 25 people on a decent going along stream or so like that. To have like 11 freaking mods is kind of crazy, but I kind of want to knock some of this stuff out. I kind of want to knock out some of the mod stuff early, just in case I actually ever get to that 1,000 and they actually ever have something where there's 300 people in the chat, which I don't see that ever happening. But or 50, 60 people where I can't follow it. 99% wrenches. Yeah. Who was it that? Klein. Remember Klein did that too, where he went through like a 5-minute freaking spiel of you get a wrench, you get a wrench, you get a wrench. It's the only channel I'm a wrench on too. So, I'll look. The Blue Moon Fit Mist Fago. You know what? I know you're Whiskey Samurai. If you're in Chattanooga and you can't get it there, go to a website called bevmo.com, and when it asks you for a city, just pick a random fucking city in Southern California, and then in the search engine, it's Bevmo, BEVMO.com, and in the random search engine, just type in Fago, and they'll list all the Fagos that they carry and whether or not they're in stock at a certain store. But it'll also give you a choice of going searching a 30-mile radius for the other stores to see if anybody has it. And if you find any that's local, I'd say if you find any that's within an hour of me, which would be the Redlands store, would be the closest to me. Just DM me and I'll go pick you up some and I'll have them hand delivered to you. That's not that big a deal. So yeah. Okay. So yeah, Kentucky Owl Rye. Because I'm a rye, because I've become this like rye whore lately. Yeah, I want to get a hold of one, but I just don't have $200 to throw at it right now. I haven't had Kentucky Owl Rye yet, so eventually I'm sure they'll somebody. I'll come across somebody I can do a trade with for samples, or someone that someone like Jason Calori, or somebody will end up sending it to my freaking box, not telling me about it, surprising me. I mean, I've had that happen with a couple things. The Likes were supposed to send me 2 samples, and then all of a sudden I got, Dan knows how much I like Old Carter, so he sent me a couple more Old Carter samples, which is a surprise. And then I got some people on Instagram that have sent me some stuff that surprised the hell out of me. Hendo sent me more than what I initially thought I was getting. And I ended up being lucky because he sent me this ASW Fiddler that I freaking love. Now I just got to scrape up the money and get a hold of a freaking bottle for myself. But yeah, eventually at some point in time, I know that it's going to, rye whore. I'm going to get, eventually at some point in time, I'll get a hold of a Kentucky Owl. It'll probably end up being I'll end up paying way too much for it, but I just don't have the money right now to do it, or else I would probably pull the trigger on it. Cause I found a place that's actually held onto the bottle for a few weeks while I tried to scrape up enough to do it, getting me a bottle of the, not the last batch Kentucky Owl, but the one right before it, the 11-year, I think it is, either 11-year, 10-year, whatever. He mislabeled it, the price. And so he was going to sell it to me for $139 because that was the price on it. Now, I don't know if he's still holding on to it or not, but he was willing to, because he said, hey, I labeled it wrong, therefore I'm going to go ahead and uphold it. But it's been a couple weeks, and I don't think he's holding it for me anymore. But his normal price is $189 for it. The one that's got me is why people are paying freaking $400 for the last one. It's the last rye. Because truthfully, is it really going to be the last rye? I hate when people say, oh, this is going to be the last. Maybe back in the day when they said it was the last bottling of something, they kept to their word to a certain point. But now people are starting to bring back all this old shit, bring back old labels and stuff like that and try to revive them and stuff like, oh, it hasn't been around for 51 years, so let's bring back Blue Spot, and I'm not hating on Blue Spot. Anybody here that loves it? I haven't tried it yet. Someday I will. So you did snag some good shit. We had a discussion about a couple bottles. Did you happen to, Mr. Whiskey Shit, you happen to come across? You know what? If you found any of the stuff that I asked you to grab, if you could grab for me, would you? If you did find one of those bottles, please just DM me. DM me on in Instagram, at the underscore Mashable. Just DM me there, or my email and stuff is in the description of my channel. You can email me something or whatever, or we'll figure it out. Or I'll be on a live the next few days anyway. That you jump on and talk to me, and we can get that all figured out if you happen to come across that. If not, I just want to know what you got. You can list that in the chat over here, because the stuff we were talking about, especially if you went to Liquor Lineup that we were already talking about, and if you were able to get to some of those other stores that I can't remember. I forgot the chain off the top of my head again. Liquor. Not Liquor Barn, but the other one. I'm trying to think what it is. But yeah, if you got a chance to pick up some, if you went to Corey's too, I want to hear if you got what you got there. Yeah, that Old Pepper Distillery rye. It's good. It's great. It's good. I still, because even though I'm a rye whore, I'm not a classy rye whore, so my Wild Turkey Rye 101 is still my favorite. But that pepper rye is really good. The tall green label freaking Old Pepper rye, the one that just came out not too long ago, is a 4-year, I think it is. Oh yeah, that's really freaking good. I just started drinking one the other day. Let's see. Hey, Ernie Brubaker. ADHD whiskey. Hey, thanks for jumping in. Yeah, we got about, let's see what we got. About say 14 minutes till HBR. So we're talking 10, 11, 12 minutes till I jump off, so everybody can jump over there. But yeah, so Matt, yeah, yesterday, how you do it, Matt, I don't know, because I sit here and talk and everything else, and people watch the chat or whatever. Hey, Dram Bam. And it's hard enough for me to do this. And then when you're trying to do the stuff that you were doing last night, and then, everybody's like, oh, let's see his collection, and everything else. How you even attempted to try to start that is kind of crazy. I'm kind of looking forward to the hour-long video to show us what you actually have. That's going to be interesting. And, I mean, you got the standards that you keep, a lot of stuff you keep in the back behind you and stuff like that, everybody sees all the time and stuff like that. Kind of like the way that Hot Buddy Rolls used to have, we knew he had all that freaking, the smoke wagons and the OKIs and stuff like that behind him. But, yeah, you say you got, like, we saw the totes. We saw the totes not this last week when you moved, but when you showed the totes when you first went back to Michigan. We saw the totes when you were saying, hey, nothing broke, And so that's going to be a lot. That's going to be a hell of a freaking video. I mean, because I'm dreading doing my video of what I've got. And I'm just at like 100 and I don't know. I think I'm like I want to say I'm close to 150, but I could be off. Maybe 120-ish, because I've given away some bottles to people for over Christmas and stuff like that. But let's see. Cheech. Yeah, it's yeah, Matt, freaking if you didn't know, Libation Exploration put out a second video this week, today. It's actually it's another one of really interesting, good videos. I had fun watching it. I like his the way he goes about it and stuff like that. No, I don't think I have. Matt, you've got a few. I think you got way more than I got, definitely. See. Okay. Oh, so you did get that midwinter night. You did get a midwinter night stram. Okay, cool. That's good. Well, I'm glad that you got to grab that stuff while you were in Vegas. That's cool. Oh, no, actually, Matt, I'm using a Canon M50 with a speed booster and a 24-70 1.8 Tamron lens. But for some reason, the last few days, it's had a problem focusing. So I think what I need to do is I need to work on cleaning the lens and then move some lighting around, because if it picks up, like right now, if you look over my freaking I hate this. If you look over my shoulder right here, that white freaking the really bright white freaking picture right there, it'll all of a sudden focus on that. Or if there's like I had those little billboards that said, suck it Dan Shook and stuff like that behind me. If they changed color, every time they would change color, the focus would go out, because it would just pick it up, because and I have it on face detection too. That's what's crazy. And it's just these last like maybe two or three, like two videos I've done, these 2 lives I've done, or 3 lives, where it's really started jumping in and out. I'll get it figured out. Worst case scenario, I'll just switch to my 15. I'll just work it out and switch to my 15 to what is it? 15 to 55, 45 millimeter. I'll throw on there and it'll work. I just really like my Tamron lens. It's so freaking awesome. Or I might switch over to my RP. I have an RP too. That might have a little bit better autofocus. Let's see. Bourbon. Yeah. What's really bad is I poured this at the very beginning. I still haven't taken a drink of it yet. It's just Evan Williams Bottled in Bond. The last couple days, God, I hate Evan Williams Bottled in Bond neck pours every freaking time. I gave somebody the other half of my bottle, my cousin. Was it my cousin? I gave somebody else half of my my last half bottle of my last freaking bottle in Bond Evan Williams, because they hadn't had it yet. I don't know if it's my cousin or one of my friends. It was a few weeks ago, and I just opened this, and freaking the neck pour on an Evan Williams bottle is the freaking worst. Don't drink and spit it out, poison. Well, who needs to shoot a video tonight? I gotta say, someone was saying they need to shoot a video tonight. Oh, Bubble Bath. Yeah, Bubble Bath, what's up? How's it going, buddy? Anybody that's got Bubble Bath's link, Whiskey Samurai's link, Libation Exploration link. If you guys got a chance, one of my wrenches, go ahead and shout them out real quick. If you're not subscribed to those 3 channels, and also Kilko, who I haven't seen tonight, which is surprising because I usually at least see him in the stream. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. It's that easy. Hit the freaking button. You're watching the video anyway. It's not really that hard to move the freaking mouse or your finger over to the old subscribe button and just, sneeze and accidentally push it. And you can always tell yourself later, well, oh, that was a freaking, or, call it a butt dial, whatever you need to tell yourself to make you feel better because you subscribed to somebody. And it's just so easy, but you really, don't want to take that, that extra little tiny effort to do so. And while you're there, if you move a little bit to the left, you can hit that thumbs up button, that thumbs down button, or you can throw a comment. It's all on that same line. It's all like in a really, really small area. So there's a whole bunch of stuff you can do. And, it makes it interactive. So therefore, if you're into interactive shit, subscribe, hit the like button. Son of a bitch. Hit the like button, comment, give me a thumbs down. It doesn't matter if you want to do that. I mean, I'm sure that if freaking Shane Long or Monson de Montreal are still lurking in the background, that they're ready. They're ready to just freaking go ahead and hit that thumbs down. So you know what? Do it. Hit that thumbs down. But go over to those other guys' channels. And if you have to use that little bit of energy, that subscribe energy, that you've been building up. Don't push mine. Push theirs first. I'll get mine. I'll get mine on the back. I'll get mine later. So let's see. Bourbon, good to see you, sir. I think that, yeah, we're at 6 minutes to Hot Buttery Rolls, so I'm going to be wrapping this up here in the next few minutes. But it's good. I'm glad that I'm still got 23 in the chat. That's freaking amazing. Let's see. What am I? Okay, so now I'm trying not to ignore stuff, Bourbon, but now I'm freaking. Now I need to know. Now I need to know. What am I missing? I'll go over to this chat. What am I missing? Well, that's an old one. Oh, okay, I need to go down here. I guess I wasn't watching the chat. Okay. No, I don't even live stream for you. Thanks, Nate. I appreciate that, but you do. You might not live stream on your channel, but you live stream with a lot of other people. You're everywhere. You deserve a sub just as much as anybody. Actually, and for some people, even more than some other people that don't even interact with. They get their subs and they don't even interact with anybody. But I'm not going to name any names. But subscribe. Okay. Now I'm seeing this stuff. Because I was going to say I was thinking butt dial for a second, but you can't really butt dial a subscribe button, I think. But okay. So my email, it's a public email anyway. It is. Let me go ahead and just in case anybody else wants to email, it's in my description on my YouTube channel in the about section, but it's bmashbill.live@gmail.com. So yeah, so it's in the chat. But that's my email. Anybody, and if there's anybody that ever wants to forward me any information on, or any contact information for if they somebody from a distillery or anything like that, or they just want to send me an email to set up something just to bullshit. If someone needs to talk about anything, I've said this before. If you need to talk about anything, you can go right over to my freaking my Instagram at @the_Mashbill. Go to the DMs, go to the messages. Just freaking send me a message. If you have a different name on Instagram than you do on YouTube, in the message, tell me who it is. And if you just want to talk about anything, if you just need somebody to talk to about anything, if you're feeling that you just want to bullshit with somebody and have a dram, even if I can't do it at that minute, I promise you that I will get back in touch with you and I will talk to you for as long as you need to talk. If you want help with the channel, Whiskey Samurai has reached out to me, and Ken from Scotch Down Under. Others over the past few days have reached out to me, and I've directed them towards some other people that have a little bit more knowledge of systems than I do. They know who they are. And Tito, if whatever, okay, but I'll put it up front I'll put it up there right up front. If you ask me what I think, don't be mad if I give you an answer you don't like. I live by the rule of don't ask a question you don't want the answer to. So whenever you ask somebody something, you have to think, will they say this and will it upset me? If that's going to be the question and it's going to upset you, figure out a different way to reword it or whatever to where it won't upset you no matter what they tell you. So if you want me to look at something, help you out with something, I'm there. I'm here to help the community first before anything else. So right now it's time for everybody. Yeah. So Cheech, I was just keeping it on, keeping everything. We agreed to keep it on the down low, but yeah, okay. But yeah, so yeah, like I said, Trev is the man to really talk to about that. Also, Jason Calori is another really good source. So we got 1 minute to Hot Buddy Rolls. So guess what that means, everybody? You don't have to listen to my shit anymore unless Hot Buddy Rolls has me come back on. So thank you for being here. I appreciate every single one of you. And I'm amazed that there's 24 people still here. It will dissipate rather quickly. Let's see. And then, yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I need to, Shane, I'll do that. You know what? Truthfully, I'll do that here in just a minute. I'll send you that. So thank you. Thank you, Tito, for hanging out. Sherry, thank you. Sugar Kitty, Dram Bam, Ernie Brubaker, Bubble Bath Bourbon, Shane Long, Cheech Jen. If you're still lurking, freaking Swami. And hey, Swami, from deep down, if you get to see this later or you're still lurking, for you and Shane, you know how much I love both of you. And Shane hasn't fucked with me at all today. But if I don't do this, I won't feel right. That's for you. I love you guys. I love everybody that's here. Floydian, Doug H, all you guys. You guys don't get the fingers because you're not Shane Long or Swami. I'll talk to you guys later. See you over in the chat on Hot Buttery Rolls. You guys have a great night, and I'll see you on the other side.